Oh, okay, there we go. There we go. Call this meeting to order. This is our monthly Health, Welfare, and Recreation Committee. It's Tuesday, April 23rd, 2024, 6 p.m. So we have everybody here, 100% participation. So, and also before we approve this agenda, I would like to change and put Tim Morris and his rural water in front of our rural fire tonight. Yes, sir. There you go. And also, I'd like to add under new business, I'd like to add animal shelter update from Mr. Brown. He's here. And also, Mayor Hunt's here. I'd like for the mayor to give us an update on some things that have happened within the last 30 days, and he can bring us some news on the animal shelter itself. So, all that being said, could I have a motion to approve that?
I'll make a motion to approve it.
Okay.
I'll second it.
A second by Tim Morris. All in favor?
Aye.
Okay.
Second by who?
Me.
So your minutes are on the back side there. I think Roseanne did a good job on the minutes, so read over those, and I'd entertain a motion to approve those minutes. A motion by Dwight Miller,
I'll second it.
seconded by Tim Morris. All in favor?
Both sets.
Yes, sir. Yep. Okay. So public comments. Do we have any public comments? Being none, we'll move on down to number 6, which would be our Tim Morris on a rural water update. I know he's got some information, hopefully, on some stuff that's been transpiring, and hopefully some things on some water pipes
Yep.
he was looking into. So
Well,
go ahead,
with
Mr. Morris.
Roger Chambers has helped us with Manchester City with J.E. Sarton, and he has gotten them, Manchester City, to agree to accept the extension down J.E. Sarton. So and I've tried to reach Miss Pugh, and I'm still trying to call her, let her know that we need to move forward with the engineering study that she wanted to do. And when Scott comes back with that, I want to be able to move forward and us get the pipe ordered. We need to buy it in batches to where we can buy it and get a discount on it, not part of a truckload if it's a truckload or 2 truckloads, and set that down. And that way we're paying for that. That may be 6 months down the road. I don't know how long it takes to get all the permits and stuff, and we have to do the permits because Manchester City wanted us to do the permits. But it will get those people water down there. This Friday at 9:30, the ad hoc water committee is going out to Wayside Acres to look at the drip system out there. And then the ad hoc committee is going to re-meet or come back together again on May the 8th. And that's a Wednesday night, and that will be here at 5 o'clock.
What day was that?
May the 8th on Wednesday.
At 5.
Yes, ma'am. And I have talked to the gentleman over War Trace Water, and he's new, so he's sort of, I guess he's a little bit anxious about me talking to him about water and water problems down there. So I'm going to try to reach out to the War Trace mayor tomorrow and see if I can get both of them to come to the ad hoc meeting and just explain to them that we'd just like to discuss the issues with War Trace Water furnishing the people at Beach Grove. It is Highway 64. It's also by the Confederate Cemetery. And talked to Greg over North Coffee, and there's some fire hydrants down there that are not serviceable. So that's where we're at with that.
How many hydrants was there down there? Did he ever say?
Greg, I couldn't get him pinned down today. The ones on 280 do not belong to War Trace Water. They're going to belong to Hillsville or West Warren, and I need to get with them. He was sort of iffy about how many, so he was going to go back and check for me and get me the address on them. That way I can pinpoint and see.
I think when
who's
me
gonna
and
be
Roseanne,
responsible.
had gone down there for like some, when they had got some new gear. And I think, if I'm not mistaken, Roseanne, did he say that was over on the old
Highway
Murfreesboro
41.
Highway, right by the subdivision by the new Beach Grove Cemetery, I think. I think that's what he said. They were out,
Yeah.
like, maybe 4 down through there. It was out.
Okay.
Yeah.
They need to be repaired or
And
they need to be
West
replaced.
Warren is the vendor down there. It's not Hillsville. Okay.
Okay.
I mean, it could be War
It's
Trace
War
too.
Tra- okay.
Yes, but
Yeah, he
the
told me
other
he was on
ones- Mm-hmm.
old Highway 41 in 64 to a certain point.
Yeah, so those would have been War
Yep.
Trace.
Yes.
There was old 41.
Yes. They need to be repaired, one way or the other. And maybe they want to give it up. I don't know. But that's where I'm at with them.
I think on those hydrants, if those hydrants are out and they're out of service, they're supposed to bag those instead of just, maybe we can get them to go in there and bag them. At least they know that they're out of service.
Well, I think the fire department knows that they're out of service, but it's not fair to the citizens down there to not have fire protection if it's available.
Jimmy, didn't we learn that there was maybe a little miscommunication between the fire departments and who determines that they're out of service? I believe we did.
Maybe it was.
And it had to do with pressure. And so
Okay.
when we had West Warren here, they told us that, if y'all remember, about a year ago.
That the water pressure was there, they couldn't pump off of it.
Right.
Okay.
But that didn't necessarily, I don't know.
Okay.
We just need to let them know for sure.
Okay.
Cool.
Anything else, Tim?
No, that's,
Dwight, you have any, I know you're on that new water committee. Anything you want to add from that meeting that we had?
No, I did talk to TUA a little bit this morning, today, and confirmed that they're still serving,
Yeah.
water to War Trace, selling it to them, so.
Okay. All right. All right, Jake, you got anything you want to add onto that?
I do not.
Okay. All right, all that's
I
being said.
would like to ask on the pipes that the county
Mm-hmm.
has agreed to purchase on situations like the JE, how's that gonna happen? Who's gonna do the purchasing? The purchasing agent, or
the purchasing agent, yes,
Okay.
and the money come out of rural
how soon?
debt service.
Okay.
As soon as she gets me the engineering study, I'll come back to this committee or move.
So you are gonna let Mrs. Pugh
Pugh know,
know that
yes,
she
ma'am. Mm-hmm.
has permission to move forward with the engineering study that they
Yes.
are paying for?
Yes, that Scott
the
St. John's gonna do.
citizens are paying for that?
Yes.
Just want everybody to know that.
And Tim,
Okay.
would you also add, you talked about 4-inch and 6-inch
Yes.
lines. Would you
I
add
want to
that?
make sure that we don't purchase it, that it's 6-inch line down that road and with a fire hydrant. It makes no sense to me to keep putting 4-inch in when you've got 6-inch available up there, you can tie to it.
I agree. Dwight, what do you think about that?
Well, I still had an idea from in the past, but it got shot down, but I'm still leaning on the fact that, if the county's gonna pay for the material and the people living up and down there are gonna bury the stuff and we're just gonna turn it over to Manchester, then I think there ought to be a different compensation thing there. And I'm not saying that those people ought to pay more, but whatever the rate is, some of that ought to be built back into the county to recover that cost. Because from now on, they're gonna get that revenue. And it's not a penalty to anybody,
Well, I think that would,
instead of the county having to pay it all.
I think that would probably come down to, agreement on this committee to do it, and
Well, I think we
Probably-
need to see about that though before we
Right.
buy a bunch of material and agree to Ms. Pugh and everybody else that we're gonna get this all done.
but to
and
negotiate,
assume
with the city, I mean, that'd probably
That's
be,
what we need to do.
that'd probably be you, Mayor, you'd probably have to do that, I'm quite sure, so.
Well, we have a pretty good balance in rural capital project fund that really hasn't been touched in quite some time. And I can see no better place to spend it than getting people potable water to their homes.
But what would be a reason not to get reimbursed?
Precedent.
That is a
We've
precedent.
already paid for pipe to so many parts
I don't think
of
that
Coffee
matters.
County.
You can't go on from now on because you had a precedent once before.
And kind of what Tim had brought up the other day in the other committee meetings, like Mr. Chambers went and met with them, and so evidently we have a good standing with them now.
Yeah.
Tim kind of thinks, correct me if I'm wrong, that now that we have them willing to do it, we might need to take advantage of the situation and get them to do it before they decide they don't want to do it.
Why wouldn't
And,
they do
and the
it?
more we're gonna
It's
do
money in
this,
their pocket.
Election time's coming
Oh,
up, so.
goodness.
the more we're gonna have to do this in the future to help other people, I think we need to do it right. I don't think it's right for people who have already paid in dollars are gonna get any benefit from that. I'm one of those people that's in the county and get water
Yeah,
and
but
pay for it.
yeah, but-
had to pay for it when we bought the house.
but the money I'm spending is rural money.
This
Rural
is
tax-
rural money I'm talking about.
Okay. Rural taxpayer money
My
only.
tax dollars are going to rural right now.
Okay. You were fortunate enough to get it. There's a lot of people out there that aren't fortunate enough.
Well,
That
yes,
they won't put
it's
it in.
fortunate, or it was smart enough, or whatever.
Mm-hmm.
You don't buy or build a house without any utilities or something you need.
Well, and,
You
and
gotta have
that,
electricity, you gotta have something.
that area down there, those people live down there for generations. Those houses are older.
understand.
There is one new house down there.
But all I'm saying is, this isn't hurting anybody, because if Manchester gets the revenue, whether it's utility, Hillsville, or whoever, if they're charging somebody $4 1,000, at least half of that is only gonna be, water coming from Duck River Utilities. And the other, 50% more could be plowed back into a fund that would keep this going
Okay.
for other rural people going. And if we have to start the funding, because nobody wants to do it and we got the money, that's one thing. But it just makes no sense to me to keep forking out more money that somebody else is benefiting from. In this case, it's gonna be Manchester.
Who's the proposed installation cost gonna fall to?
Them.
They're paying for that.
They're
The citizen.
the
No
citizens.
citizens there.
Okay.
Yeah.
And there's,
So
And
That
I'm
live
saying,
on that
they don't
road.
get penalized.
didn't they say there was like a potential that could possibly be 16 customers there?
Mm-hmm.
Okay. And they really.
I just don't want this opportunity to fall off the table. And maybe we shouldn't come to an agreement with Manchester City that they charge more to certain people. But
Well, they may not necessarily have to pay extra.
Well,
Like I'm saying, that 50% more that they're using for recovering their cost, depreciation basically, that ought to be coming back to the people that paid that into. Because Manchester's not paying a dime into it. And that would easily recover the cost of putting it in. They will
Of the
recover,
pipe.
Yeah,
say
the
if it
pipe.
goes 10 years, that's not hurting Manchester. They're not losing any money.
But I think what had originally happened is at first they wasn't even interested in even doing it.
I understand all that.
And then they had I think the committee kind of overread the
I think
the
it's,
mayor.
it may get down to, TDAC or somebody, saying, everybody needs water. Somebody's gonna serve it. You gonna do it, or we gonna get somebody else? That's the way utilities have always worked.
I just don't want this opportunity to slip through my hands. 'Cause
Well,
it's just
I'm not
people-
wanting to either.
People
I
that are
think
drinking
it's,
out of a creek, and that's not fair to me.
I think it's a great deal, but especially this one, since they're providing the labor and stuff.
Oh,
But-
yeah.
But I don't want to say, just because we've done it in the past, that we're gonna do it for another 100 years.
Well, I'm just not, I'm not privy, I can't just lay out the number, how many miles of public highway, which most water lines are gonna have to be on public highway. If you're putting water lines on private property, which we've had multiple requests to do that, people come to Capitol Outlay and they have a private road with two houses on it that's
we've denied
3/4 of a mile long. They wanted us to pay for it and said, we just can't do that. We're only gonna put our water lines on the right-of-ways of our public highway system. How many miles of public highway do we have that does not have public water on it right now? I mean, I
Well,
would
there's
think
another
it'd be
question.
limited.
Is the water adequate? Are the pipes big enough? We're talking about fire hydrants. So it's gonna end up a cost to somebody all along it. When I was at the Tullahoma Utilities, we had people in rural Moore County. Moore County couldn't serve it. We were serving it, but we had a different, buy-in cost, basically. You had to guarantee you were gonna connect to the line once we, served it. And you had to pay basically a buy-in. It was nowhere near the cost, but you had to pay something to get back. And everybody thought, that's fair enough, I need the water. I mean, you can't go dig a well anymore for nothing.
And I think these people are there too. They're willing to do just about anything. I mean, they're paying to put it in and everything, so.
I think it's a simple deal we ought to be able to work out with Manchester in this case and say, you're gonna get this revenue from now on. And if you'll just share, the markup, basically, and you're not losing a thing in that case, to pay the county back, whatever it takes, whether it's 5 years, 10 years, or whatever. And every time another customer ties on to, we don't have a part in it. They're getting the full revenue.
Well, I get your point. You know, it's a good point. I think Manchester City right now, their water bill, if I'm not mistaken, includes sewer services, but I'm not sure if it's separated.
It's
on
not.
their
pretty sure
bill.
it's
not.
separate.
It's one bill,
It's sewer, trash, and water.
correct, but it's
Yeah, one
one
bill.
number. You
One
only
number.
see one number on your bill.
Yeah, that's correct.
Okay, I think approaching Manchester and saying, listen, not one drop of this water is gonna enter your wastewater treatment facility like it does in the city.
Yeah.
We could ask for that portion of the
Yeah.
bill to help offset the cost of the pipe maybe. You know,
Well,
but it's worth pursuing. I get
I'm
where you're coming
assuming
from.
those people that are on rural and don't have sewer are not
That's
paying the
correct.
same rate.
They may or may not. I don't
would not
know.
think so.
That's a question to be asked.
In Tullahoma Utilities, it's two different entities. One is water, one is sewer.
Mm-hmm.
And the bill is different, and it's governed on the cost.
Right.
What do we want to do on this? Do we want to make a motion to, Mr. Morris, for you and Mr. Chambers to go back, or do we want to pursue the deal that we?
I want to get with Miss Pugh and get her started. That way we have the engineering study. I don't know how long Scott takes, 2 months, whatever. We have the engineering study and figure out the 2 permits that we need to have. And then I think we can have pipe here in 30 days. I may be wrong. But by then, there's 2 elections in August, Manchester City and the county. You'll have 2 different mayors than what we had a month ago. Maybe one sitting in front of me. But Manchester's going to have a different mayor, and those 2 need to get settled. And I'm good with talking. I am. Get the money back. I just don't want this to not go until August. I won't keep moving forward. So I want to make the motion that I call Miss Pugh, have her do the engineering studies and everything that needs to be done, find out from Manchester Water what has to be done, and let's move forward. And when the August election does come about, that we try to enter into an agreement with Manchester to recoup our money.
Mr. Morris has this motion on the table. Does anybody want to second Mr.
Well, I have a
Morris's
question.
motion? Oh, go ahead.
When you say discuss it with Manchester, I'm not clear what you're gonna discuss with Manchester.
Recouping the, like you say, the water
Okay.
back.
I think it's a pretty simple deal. They know what their cost is.
Okay.
And the amount of markup is what we're talking about. And just see if
And
they
I'd like
talk
to add to
about
that, I want Dwight and the mayor to go, and I'll go with you. The 3 of us go. And that way, if we are spending money, we can start putting in more if we know we're gonna get the money back instead of depleting the funds like we have before. If we know we're gonna generate revenue and get paid back, it's gonna be advantageous to start putting stuff in to where the citizens don't have to pay to put it in, because they're going down a chert road that's gonna take a lot of digging. And if they hit solid limestone, I don't know what they'll do.
Take a rock saw,
So.
hoe round.
They seem to be very capable. Mrs. Pugh's
Yes, she is.
presentation was very thorough.
So there's my motion in a second.
Do you have that motion dictated down, Ms.
I would like you to
Carter-Smith?
go over it
Okay.
with me. I'm writing, but the motion to
To
notify Mrs. Pugh to
Pugh
move forward.
Forward with her engineering studies.
Mhm.
And the 2 permits that we have to have.
Okay.
This is
Who needs the permit?
June, July.
She does?
We will, I guess it will be Coffee County. I need to check into that, and see
Okay.
if
I
Coffee
just
County needs,
put,
I'll check in to see what permits we
Motion to
need to have with
notify
Roger.
Mrs. Pugh to move forward with
With her
engineering
engineering study.
studies and the 2 permits needed.
And that we agree that when, after the August election, that Dwight, me, and Mr. Mayor Hunt go meet with the new mayor and the water department there and see if we can come to an agreement for payback with water bills.
Well, I'm wondering if we can't start that discussion now, and if it gets shot down, we can go back August.
I'll go visit with them.
Well, I
Do
knew,
you want to? Do
Yeah.
you want to go with me?
yeah, I'd like to know what
Okay.
they got to say.
Okay.
I knew the manager they had for years, and he would have understood all this.
Well, I think-
It ought to be a pretty simple thing
I
to,
think when you go back to do this, I think you need to take Commissioner Chambers with you because
Yes.
he had talked to him first.
Yes.
So we need to go back with him too, because
Because he's from Manchester.
He's the glue.
He's the one who's gotten us this far so far.
all right, we
And
have
I very
that.
much appreciate
We
it.
have that motion on the table. Mr. Duncan, are you seconding that motion? All in favor of that motion?
Aye.
Ayes have it. Anything else under rural water? If not, I'd like to go to new business and ask the mayor if he would, I'll have Mr. Brown and Mr. Mayor give us an update on the animal shelter, where we're at, and what's going on with it. So, Mr. Mayor, would you please press us on that?
I'd like to defer to Mr. Brown first.
Okay, Mr. Brown?
All right, first I apologize, I don't have any printed copies, I gave those all out in the last meeting.
Saved you two.
We've got a couple here we can share amongst the table,
I've seen it, looked at it.
and I've got one on my iPad, if anyone wants to look at it there. So where we're at as far as on the animal shelter, it is still moving forward. We're working with Capital Outlay Committee and Craig's team to try to design a efficient, economical structure that meets all the requirements as best we can afford. Obviously, you know, animal control doesn't have a significant budget, but we're trying to meet all of his requirements and stay within project budget. We are concerned with project budget at the moment. That's why we're trying to, again, we're working with Craig and really trying to identify all of his needs, his have-to-have items to make his facility work for him. And then checking those boxes first. Those are our priority items, and then moving forward into the, you know, these would be nice to have if we have the budget left. At this point in time, we're looking at a very utilitarian, very functional structure. Again, we're trying to make this work, and we're trying to meet budget. It is a challenge. Like I said, we are somewhat concerned with project budget, but we are working every way we can to try to hit that. We have, you know, got some plans from neighboring municipalities, even stretched out across kind of the Middle Tennessee region out into East Tennessee a little bit. We got some drawings to look at and looked at project budgets. Animal control facilities are coming back very pricey in today's day and age, so we're trying to basically see what they did that was so expensive and see if there's a more economical option to still achieve what they were going for, but with more economical means. So obviously life cycle cost is important. This facility is going to last, and it's going to, it's my children will probably be, dealing with this facility. So that's something that's obviously in the forefront of our mind is life cycle costs and trying to make it as efficient as possible. So
I have a question.
yes, sir, absolutely.
As mayor, we still have the donors that,
Absolutely. I
promised-
knew if I let Mr. Aaron Brown speak first, I would have to speak less. he pretty much just told you how the wheels are rolling on this project. They're really not rolling slow. It's always a process when you're building something from scratch. We've had, everybody, I think it's public record that we have ARP funds in the amount of $500,000 sitting, waiting for this project to materialize, and it is. We've got, I'm going to say 1 million more from private donations. Those are solidified. So I just want to assure the citizens of Coffee County that is concerned about this project, it hasn't slowed down a bit. Out of reverence to the late Mayor Judd Matheny, a lot of meetings were postponed the week of and the week after for his services. That slowed 2 or 3 things a little bit, but it did not stop anything. I just want to reassure everybody of that.
So we'll still take a donation, won't we?
Absolutely.
The flooring,
Yes, sir.
polished concrete or?
At the moment, that's what we're looking for. You know, there's a couple areas, the exam room, for instance, intake room and grooming. We would love to have, you know, a epoxy floor in there that's easy to clean. It's got an integral cove base that kind of turns up the wall. They can hose it down. We would love to see it. That stuff's running $20, $25 a square foot. So,
Now, when we built the jail and stuff, there was a sealant that was put on the polished floor out there that was supposed to be waterproof. All the not HEPA, but hepatitis and all that stuff was supposed to come off of it. Is that still true with the concrete?
yeah, it should be. Again, we're not to that level yet, but that
Okay.
would be the goal. I mean, as you know, disease transmission in a facility like this with housing this many animals, it is a priority. Air ventilation, cross contamination with drains, cross contamination with water, and any kind of contamination that gets in the walls remains on the walls. I know Craig and his team use some pretty abrasive cleaners. We have talked to him about what cleaners he uses, just so we've got those. And you know, as we're moving forward, making those design decisions, we know, you know, okay, if it's bleach is going to contaminate, if it's going to harm it, if it's going to, you know, start tearing the finish off, we're going to avoid that, right? We're going to go to those more durable, those more robust materials, try to make this facility last as long as it can. Again, ideally, you know, what we're thinking currently is we have, you know, a list of deduct items that, you know, yes, they would be nice to have. That epoxy floor, yes, we would love to have it. It would make Craig's life much easier. But he, you know, he's willing to work with us, and he's like, you know, we can make anything work. Anything is better than what we have today. So that's kind of where we're at. Is, you know, again, we're trying to hit those have items first, and then anything that's nice to have, if we have the budget left, we'll try to do what we can to make Craig's life easier.
If you would, you can turn it over, you can get a view of that on that back page.
Correct,
It
yeah.
kind of gives you what it's going to look like, so.
The front page there is the floor plan, as you can see. And then the second sheet there has some elevations and some conceptual 3-dimensional images. Again, we're working with Capital Outlay and Craig's team to really nail down the design of the facility and try to make it as economical and efficient and functional as possible.
Well, I know Judd had a lot of contacts, so how many did we lose as far as donations and things?
None.
Well, good. Good.
Wondered about that.
I'm meeting with one tomorrow morning, one of the significant donors.
I would think this would encourage him even more, since he's passed on
That's
to
true.
giving his name.
Well, I think the more publicity we have to this, the more people are willing.
Yeah.
Has the pictures of these been shared?
No, ma'am, not yet.
That would be nice to share that
correct.
on the newspaper or social media.
Yeah, I think we're almost to the point of really nailing down the exterior of the project, and I think once we get that, you know, I mean, obviously you're free to share them at this point, but it might not be the finished product. You know, much like the initial concepts that were presented at the groundbreaking. Obviously, that's, you know,
Well, seeing it like that gets people excited
absolutely.
and probably interested in donating maybe.
Yes, ma'am.
Mayor, has the water tap and sewer tap, has all that been secured out there on the property that you know of?
As far as I know, there's already, I mean, the facility that's there had water Now sewer, it was on a septic tank, but I'm sure Aaron can speak to this, but I mean, that's part of the design team.
Correct.
We have sewer available up at our new jail. All it takes is a grinder pump and a small PVC line. We'll send everything right up to the sewer.
Okay.
You know, just one kind of parting shot. It sounds like we're about to wrap up my part, but to echo Mr. Hunt's, sentiment. We realized, the design team realizes that this was one of Judd's priorities. He had animal welfare was in his heart. So we're still pushing forward. We're gonna make him proud.
Good.
Okay. Any more questions for Mr. Brown or the mayor on this? Okay.
Thank you
If
for your time.
not,
Thank you.
thank you, Mr. Brown. We will move on to
Back to him, you won't keep it.
our rural fire update.
You won't keep it.
That'll be Mr. Chief Gunn, Hillsborough Fire.
Sorry, just got off softball field.
Did you win?
No, it's practice.
Yeah, I thought
We ain't
so.
started yet. We're delayed a little bit on our season.
All right, Mr. Chief Gunn, would you, can you, if you want to do your quarterly review on the fire, on what you got going on up there, then you can maybe do the Bonnaroo thing at the end, maybe.
About the biggest thing we got in our world, we got our barbecue, May 11th? May 11th, then, of course, we get Bonnaroo mid-June. That's about the biggest thing in our world right now.
What's the times on that?
It's the second weekend in June. I'm not even sure the dates,
Oh,
honestly.
your barbecue.
Oh, barbecue.
Yeah.
Starts at 10 a.m. on 11th.
Okay.
11th of
May.
May.
Yes, sir.
And what is that?
It's just our annual fundraiser we do every year.
So do you sell plates of barbecue?
Plates at barbecue, and we'll have a few butts to sell, and chicken halves, and
Do you have
Chicken
to-
and pork, right?
Do you have
chicken
to
and pork.
order ahead of time?
you can. Yeah, you can, absolutely. We do it, as I guess one thing good that come out of COVID, we started doing drive-through. So everybody's kind of like
Works
that.
good.
Everybody's kind of like that, and it's easier on us, so we've kept doing it. So that was one positive out of COVID.
How about equipment wise up there? Y'all got any new stuff in?
We got
fitting
our
stuff?
turnout gear washer and dryer. We picked or got it delivered yesterday. The state fire marshal's office. We got a grant for $48,900 from the state fire marshal's office.
Wow.
So we bought a washer and dryer for our turnout gear to help with combat cancer issues in our gear. And I think we're going to get about 9 sets of turnout gear with the rest of the money.
Wow.
But we had to get our washer and dryer first because we got to move some money that we saved on it. We got to get the state's approval to spend the rest on gear.
What was the cost on that washing machine and dryer?
Around 11, I think, for both of them.
All right.
We got a package deal, so I think the state had allotted us 13, so we've saved a little bit. Hopefully, they've got to approve us to use that money on other stuff.
And really, that's a big deal because
Yeah.
you have to send that gear off
Yeah.
there's a place over in Williamson County. You have to take it over there and a lot of times have it
Yeah,
cleaned.
we're off 231, I think, is a place
That
that
gets
does
the
it.
chemicals and the smoke off that way
It does.
that way you're not exposed to it.
And last few years, we've worked at getting every firefighter 2 sets of gear. Some have them. 2 o'clock in the morning, it's nice to come in and get a clean
Clean
set,
set.
and
Yeah.
then clean the rest later.
Yeah. Well, it's safer on you.
It is, and so with these new sets of gear, that'll allow some more of the guys to get 2 sets. And the company we buy through, the brand we buy through, they've actually got a deal where we get structural gear and a set of wildland gear, so we get 2 sets of gear, complete boots, helmets, gloves, everything, for not much more than just 1 set of turnout gear would cost. So
That's good.
we try to get the biggest bang for our buck.
And I noticed, what have y'all had going on? I noticed the parking lot's full up there. What's going on?
TBI, they're our local fire investigator for TBI. He's putting on it's a 2-week course, but this is the first week, just kind of doing the basic stuff. And then October will be the second week in which that second week will actually be like building a case, presenting a case to a court type deal. You know, it's like he said, I can teach a cop to look at fire scenes and figure it out, but he said it's hard to teach a fireman to be a cop and prosecute somebody. So
Do y'all host that every year, or is it y'all just host it this
it's,
year or what?
The last one he did was in Chattanooga. The one he did last year, and then some locals around here voiced interest in it, so they moved it to. We got it this year.
I think that's great that we got a rural
Yes.
fire department that can host
Yes.
things like that. That's just amazing that they do that.
Yeah, we burned some pallets today and set a car on fire and all
Wow.
kinds of good stuff.
You know, you wouldn't think about that, but you guys, I'm sure, first on the scene, and you could probably solve a lot of crimes, help solve a lot of crimes. I mean,
Well, you know, and really the biggest thing is for, especially the first responders getting there, you know, the first initial firemen getting there to realize something's funky.
Yeah.
And, you
I
know,
agree.
and of course, we go in a house or whatever, we're gonna tear stuff up. But it's hard to prosecute somebody when we've destroyed the fire, we've
Yeah.
destroyed the evidence.
Evidence, yeah.
But what do you do? It's a double-edged sword. You can't, sometimes you gotta do that to put the fire out.
You're
so-
not gonna ask for any more money, are you, being detectives,
No.
along with being firefighters?
No, we did ask for an increase in money this year, but, just the
I'm sure
cost
you're
of,
worth it.
just the cost of
This,
stuff. So,
I think as the county, I think we got a great deal. We got these guys doing this
I'm
for
telling you,
free, you know,
forensics
for
and
their own
everything
time.
else, that's great.
Of course, Mr. Brown over here, he won't say anything about it, but he's a standing member at Hillsborough Fire too. So
All right.
we're lucky to have these guys doing this
captain and
stuff.
training officer.
Okay. Any more questions for Mr. Gunn?
Alan Lindley has a bus for y'all. I don't know if he's gonna get with y'all, but we've donated
Yeah.
a school bus.
He's on a cruise. He's out in the middle of the ocean right
Oh,
now. so
okay.
he
I
can't-
just wanna be there when y'all do what you do to it.
yeah, it's,
What are you gonna do to it?
my understanding is gonna be some, extrication training on it, my understanding.
The floor level, the seat level, the markings on the bus, and be able to cut into it. I wanna see one cut up and see what it looks like.
I'd like to see
Frame
that.
wise.
It's not every day you get a bus
No.
thrown at you. It's kinda like a semi-truck or a tractor if you get one.
Hey, do
Well, and in y'all's defense, and good thing for y'all, the state of Tennessee now is going to require us that if it's battery, it'll have a B symbol on it, P for propane. All of mine will have D's for diesel on them, but it will show the
identify.
fire department what kind of mechanism is to
Right.
drive that vehicle.
Right.
So that way you're not walking in blind.
Too bad we couldn't get that on passenger cars.
Well,
I mean, because that has been a topic of conversation
Yes.
amongst all the departments. Somebody's going to have an issue with an electric car. It's,
and if you have propane or a battery, you have to go back to all of your buses.
Right.
And I'm gonna take Coffee County back, and we're gonna do all our buses, but I'm not required to. But I'm gonna put these on all our buses. That way, you know, all ours are diesel.
Right.
And I didn't even think about that when we were talking about that Friday in our big meeting. Is, you know, if you've got a battery bus, it could be very bad for the firefighters.
and unfortunately, there's still not enough information out there that we've all had the conversation, and I figure North Coffee or us are going to get the first one being on the interstate.
Oh, a car burn it, yeah.
Yeah, we're going to get the first. One of the two of us are going to get the first one.
where are we at on, like, far as, you know, if you can describe it, as far as extrication stuff? Do y'all have any of that, or is North Coffee, or we,
Manchester City and Tullahoma do all that.
where do you looking down the road, like, think maybe eventually we may do that, or?
I don't know. You know, it coming from the paid side, you know, well as I do, and you know, sometimes volunteers are hurting right now. I mean, it's, you know, paid departments hurting. If they can't keep people and they offer money, what's my incentive as a volunteer chief? You get a free T-shirt and a radio.
Here's
I
the
mean,
thing, like on,
what do you get out of
like on extrication stuff, say you got a grant for extrication, or you use some of your county money for extrication, couldn't you not retrieve some of that back from the insurance side of it to make it
It's-
where it would be?
It's possible. We've never really checked that much into it because I said the county pays Manchester and Tullahoma to do it. So
I mean, that
I mean-
could be an option where we look at eventually, where we don't, you know, we could
I mean, it.
fund the rural guys to do that maybe eventually.
You know, obviously the county ever started a paid county department, yeah. But I mean, it's a lot to ask these guys. I mean, they're already giving up so much family time and to add something else on top of them. I'm not saying that we shouldn't serve the citizens of the county, absolutely, but, you know, I know, Jimmy, you see it, but you look at our calls, we all get them to a cell phone today, what the comm center pages out. There's a lot of car wrecks in this county a day. There's there's probably 10, 15 a day.
Yeah.
So, I
Have
mean,
you
it'd be a
been-
full-time job.
Has your unit been trained on battery electric cars?
Again, the state fire school offers I think it's a 4-hour class. I actually work with the guy at the base that teaches it, and it's still kind of you can pretty much still find that much information online.
Yeah.
Well, I was curious myself about what hazards are generated
Well-
after that battery is burning and what the temperature is and everything else.
You know, it's really no different than any car out there if it doesn't penetrate the battery compartment.
Yeah,
Once it gets in the battery compartment, I mean, there's been times that vehicle, let's say, have been in a wreck. 2 days later, it catches on fire sitting in a scrapyard somewhere because the chemical reaction.
electric or a regular car?
Electric.
Okay.
Wrecker service has been having issues with that. Then you see it on the news all the time. Read articles that it took 45,000 gallons of water to put out one of these electric vehicles. Well, if I'm sitting on the side of the interstate, I don't reckon we have fire hydrants on the interstate, so I don't know where I'm gonna get 45,000 gallons of water. There ain't enough water in this county for that. I mean, it's.
I didn't know what they were gonna end up having to do,
You know.
for jets and things like that. They use foam and
Yeah.
different types of things, but I didn't know
And looking
whether
at
they really figured it out for electric vehicles.
there's companies that make fire blankets to snuff the fire out. Then there's companies that are making like Pearson nozzles that pierces the battery compartment. Well, what have we done? We've added water into this, so now we've got an environmental issue.
Yeah.
I mean, if you're putting
Yeah.
45,000 gallons of contaminated water,
You're just flushing it everywhere.
And now they're saying these chemicals cause cancer in
oh yeah,
environment, so
oh yeah. So I
they're
mean,
having to deal with a lot of things.
I don't know. That's $1 million question. I said, well, none of us as far as I know,
Well, I was
nobody in the
wondering-
county's faced it yet.
Are they even training people for that? Do they know enough?
Like I said, there's very little out there on it. I mean, you can take some online classes, but there's nothing this is still a very new issue.
That's what
And-
I was afraid of.
And you can just imagine if it's taking 45,000 gallons of water for a car, what's a semi gonna take? What is a bus gonna take? What is, so.
We don't have any.
I know
I
our hydrants aren't that good.
I expect those batteries would burn underwater.
Well,
Once they short out, once they cross.
Yeah.
and I think overseas, that's one thing that they're looking at. Of course, the American Fire Service is 20 years behind overseas because we don't like change. Change is not in a fireman's DNA. But they've actually been submerging them, like putting them in a roll-off dumpster, filling it full of water and submerging them.
Maybe we'll see more
keep 'em
dumpsters on
cool.
the side of the highway now.
Yeah, we just put some dumpsters, put the car in, and leave it.
But it's gonna pick up, you're talking about maybe one car every so often
Yeah.
now. When everybody starts driving electric, if
Yeah, and
it really get bad.
then
solve the
you-
problem.
here's another issue to add to it. Somebody's got one in their garage charging in their house.
Burns the whole house.
It's happening, it's happening. I see it
Still
on
gotta try to
TV
put it
quite a
out.
lot.
You still got to try to, you still got to try to put it out. I mean,
Burn and burn and burn.
but I mean, I don't know. I don't know. It's
They recommend you park them outside. That's what they do.
yeah, and and a lot of these, I don't really know what the voltage it takes to charge one, but I think the state and maybe national is looking at putting charging ports on these houses, putting them on like a separate circuit or whatever, so you're not overloading the circuit in the house.
Well, you can take a 220 and plug it into the house, but it'll take a lot longer to
Right.
charge. But they can put a whole lot more voltage and get it charged a lot faster. And some of these charging stations they are offering, they charge a whole lot more because of the convenience of
Right.
speed. And it costs a lot more money to pull that much kilowatt hour.
TUA's got one right up behind the Martinizing, the dry cleaners down in Tullahoma. I'd hate to be the dry cleaners, I think, 'cause come back next morning.
Right.
I shouldn't say that.
All right, kind of getting off that's a good report right there, but kind of have we secured the contract for Bonnaroo, or where we at on
Yeah, I mean, we've had dealings with them today. Matter of fact, we've been dealing with them about once a week.
that? Okay.
So y'all are good with your contract?
Yes.
Happy with the contract?
Yes.
Okay.
You sure have?
I just don't want you to have to go through what you went through last year.
No, everything's.
Okay.
Hey, and would you kind of elaborate a little bit on like the personnel you have out there? I mean, I know you got a pretty qualified group that goes out there and works that. So I mean,
Right.
they're getting a good deal, and I think they're getting their money's worth. So
Well, last year we staffed from Tuesday, I think about 6 o'clock Tuesday night till noon on Monday. We had 55 firemen for the week out there.
how many of those were EMTs, paramedics?
Probably, I'd say a quarter to a half was at least EMTs.
That's good.
You know, a lot of the paid departments come and help out, the other volunteer departments. And, you know, obviously they're firemen and EMTs. That's great because, you know, whether you've got a med bag or whatever, they see fire department, they think you can help them. So we probably run as much medical calls or not more than we do fire calls out there.
Of course, you have a lot of calls for pyrotechs out there too, right? You staff that
Usually Friday and Saturday we'll have several stage shows. The fire marshal's office requires us to be on stage if the artist has pyrotechnics, so we'll lose 2 to 3 every stage show. So usually Friday and Saturday nights we plus up to anywhere from 12 to 16 on Friday and Saturday nights.
Have they sold out? You know, they haven't sold out.
What they're saying is they're down. They're not where they wanted to be this year. But last year they said they wasn't either, and they was renting fields at the last minute too. So
What's the date?
it's the second weekend I think in June. I'm not sure what it is.
Have y'all already done your rehearsal, your practice? You do with the PD on like a you do some training out there. And when's that coming up if you're doing it?
It will probably be the week of, actually. Probably early the week of.
Okay. All right. Any more questions for Mr. Gunn? All right. If not, we'll move down for a set date time for our next meeting. Tuesday the 14th. Everybody good with Tuesday the 14th?
Of May?
Yes, sir.
Okay.
May 14th.
May the 14th.
6 p.m.
6 p.m.
Okay.
Well, what time?
6.
I was thinking it's listed on the calendar as the county commission.
On the 14th?
Yeah.
Okay.
It is.
It is. Let's move that to the 21st. That'll be the Tuesday afterwards.
Okay.
Sorry.
May the 21st
Yeah, May 21st.
at 6 o'clock.
Yes, sir. Okay. Anything else? Are we all good? If not, I'll entertain a motion to adjourn this meeting.
Motion to adjourn.
That was
Motion
6
made.
o'clock.
Motion made by
Second.
Mr. Morris, seconded by
I'll
Ms.
second.
Carden Smith. All in favor? Aye. Ayes have it.